What's up guys, it is Chris back with another watch video, and today we're doing a comparison video, and not just any comparison video. We are looking at the Moonwatch and the MoonSwatch. We're going to be comparing the mission to the moon to the Moonwatch, the real Speedmaster Professional. I'm very excited about this video because there is a lot of hype around the Moonwatch, and some of that is dying down now. A lot of hate has been bubbling up about these watches, and obviously a lot of people say it's not a true Speedmaster. So I wanted to compare it to a true Speedmaster, and that's what we're going to do next. But before we get into the comparison, I did want to talk about a few misconceptions about the MoonSwatch. Now, a lot of people in the comments have been saying to me that the crystal is fused to the case. It's all one piece of plastic. All of that is true, yes. However, all swatches that have been made out of plastic are all fused together. You are not able to service any of those watches. So if you are buying a plastic Swatch watch, 99% of the time you are not able to service that watch. This is not something new that was done for the MoonSwatch. It's not some sort of ploy to get you to buy one, break it, and then have to buy another. This is the way that Swatch has worked for a very, very long time. Next, a lot of people have been calling it a toy, a piece of garbage in the comments down in all the videos that I've been doing. And I have to agree, it is a toy, but I don't think it's a piece of garbage. A lot of people think it's a piece of garbage because of the fused crystal and the inability to actually service the watch. This is a toy. It's a toy version of the Speedmaster Professional. That doesn't make it a bad watch. It's still a Swiss-made chronograph. It does have a bioceramic or mostly plastic case, or something that feels mostly plastic. Now, that doesn't make it a bad watch. It doesn't make it a garbage watch. It does make it a toy version of that Speedmaster. Now, I have hesitated in the past to use the word toy, but I do agree it is a toy version of the Speedmaster. But still, that doesn't make it a piece of garbage, and it doesn't make it a bad watch. The next thing I wanted to clear up also is the crystal. A lot of people have said that the crystals, the scratch crystals that a lot of people have experienced with this watch is caused by the box. That is not true. The fact is that the box does not scratch the crystal. All of these watches come with a protector, a plastic protector on top of the crystal that protects it from the box itself. Now, just to clear this up, I actually contacted Swatch. I contacted 2 stores and I spoke to managers at the stores, and they told me that 90% of their watches have scratches on their crystals. Anything that has a plastic crystal will have scratches on it, and that is from the manufacturer. They come that way from the manufacturer. It doesn't matter what box they're actually in. They're very easily scratched because it's made out of plastic. It's not a Hesalite. Anyway, last but not least, a lot of people in the comments have been saying to me that there are tons of other watches out there that you can get over a MoonSwatch for $260. And a lot of people bring up Pagani design. And I have to disagree with you on the Pagani design watches in general. I like the idea of a mechanical watch. I like the idea of an affordable mechanical watch. However, if you're looking for a chronograph that is affordable, there are far fewer watches out there. However, you can get a few pretty awesome chronographs with an ST19 in them or a mecha quartz movement in them, a mechanical quartz movement. There are plenty of watches out there that would fit the bill and be under $260. However, if you are looking for something with heritage and you want something that's very good looking, the only real replacement, I would say in my opinion, at this price range on the used market and the secondary market would be the Lunar Pilot from Bulova. Now, the only problem with that watch, it's 45 millimeters wide. So it is a large watch. So if you have a smaller wrist, the MoonSwatch is still the better option because it is a smaller watch. It is made out of plastic. It will not last you a lifetime. However, it does look good. So with all of that being said, let's flip the camera and take a look at both the Moonwatch and the MoonSwatch. So here they are, the Moonwatch and the MoonSwatch. side by side. I have the Mission to the Moon in my right hand, and I have the Speedmaster Professional in my left. Now, before we get into it, I do want to mention that this watch, the Speedmaster Professional, was lent into the channel by ExquisiteTimepieces.com. They are an authorized dealer of many brands, and they are an authorized dealer for Omega. So if you are interested in this watch, or really any of the watches that I talk about here on my channel, definitely check out their website. I will put a link in the description below. So, getting right into it, obviously there are a lot of similarities between these two watches. They look very similar, but there are a lot of differences. I'm going to start with the MoonSwatch. It's much lighter, obviously, than the Moonwatch. That's because it's made out of plastic. This is made out of bio-ceramic is what they call it. It's 75% ceramic, 25% plastic. However, it feels like 100% plastic. It may not act that way. It's a little bit more durable. It looks like plastic and it feels like plastic. Unfortunately, that's just the case. Also, the strap on this watch is garbage. It comes with a Velcro strap. It's not very comfortable. It feels like cardboard, and it feels like it doesn't fit anybody's wrist. When you see people wearing these on their wrist, there's one side that sort of sticks out because the straps are horrible. They don't fit well. Now, the Moonwatch obviously comes on a beautiful bracelet. It's a very substantial watch because it's made out of stainless steel. So those are the real obvious differences between the two. There's another difference between the two that's not so obvious: the price. This is 25 times the price of the MoonSwatch. This is $260 versus $6,400. You do get a METAS certified movement in this watch. It's a hand wound 3861 Omega caliber. So that's the reason why it's a lot more money. You also get a beautiful bracelet on this, which is sort of a president style bracelet, very vintage inspired. You have this new clasp on here, which is great. It tapers a lot, which I love. This is just a beautifully made watch. They've been making it for a very long time, so they've really perfected it. It's really very beautiful. This also gets a Hesalite crystal, so it's a lot thicker than the plastic crystal that comes on the MoonSwatch, and obviously the MoonSwatch scratches very easily. This also gets a quartz ETA movement, so you can see the chronograph hand is misaligned. Most of them are. None of them are really perfect. You cannot correct this by using the pull out the crown and press the pusher method, because it's off by a fraction of a second. So if you do that, it'll actually go to the next second or go back a second, and it will never line up correctly with the index. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Now, there are a lot of other subtle differences between these two watches. If you notice them, it's very hard to see unless you have both of the watches in hand. The hands are very different. Look at the second hands on these watches. They are almost completely different. Also, the minute and hour hands, very, very different from the minute and hour hand on the MoonSwatch. Now, there are, on the surface, similarities. They're both white. They both are designed similar, but they aren't the same. And I believe that there are differences in the lume as well. So we'll do lume at the end. We'll do a lume shot. Also, the dial itself, both of them are a matte black. It's just a little bit nicer, a lot nicer on the Moonwatch. Also, there's sort of indentations for the sub-registers, a little bit deeper on the Moonwatch, and then of course around the perimeter of the dial, the minute track also sunken a little bit better done on the Moonwatch, and it should be because it's a lot more money. The crystals, very different. So when you move them to the side, you're going to see both of them don't distort a lot, but there is a lot more dome to the crystal on the Moonwatch. It's a lot less on the MoonSwatch. So there is a little bit of difference there. I don't know if that makes a difference in the thickness at all, but we'll check that out in just a minute. I'll do measurements on both of these watches simultaneously so we could see the differences between the two. There's another difference that I noticed. There is a thinner bezel on the Moonwatch versus the MoonSwatch. Obviously the MoonSwatch has a plastic bezel, and then the bezel actually just has sort of a decal on it. This is an aluminum insert, stainless steel bezel. There's a difference there, and I noticed that the dial area looks smaller on the MoonSwatch. So I'm a little confused by that because everybody is saying that the cases are basically 1 for 1. I even said that on my channel because that's what everybody was saying. Even Omega and Swatch were saying that, but they're obviously very different. Somewhat different. So we'll do measurements just to see what those differences are. But you can see as I put them side by side, and I'll do close-ups of all of this so you can see it a little bit closer up. There are differences between these two cases. They are very subtle, but there are differences. Even the pushers, even the crown, there's a little bit of a difference. Also, I do want to mention that the MoonSwatch is signed so many times that it looks a little bit busy on the dial, a lot busier, somehow almost the same amount of text on both dials. Somehow it looks busier on the MoonSwatch versus the Moonwatch, and that's kind of because of the position of the chronograph subdials. Has something to do with it, I think. Also, there's a difference in the printing on the bezels as well. I forgot to mention that. It's a little bit bigger font on the Moonwatch, or Mission to the Moon, excuse me. So very quickly, let's do measurements, and then we will do a Lume shot. I'll throw both of these on my wrist. I'll also show you this watch, which is the watch that I have on my wrist today. It is the Mission to Saturn. So I'm going to take this off, also on a strap, because I absolutely hate the strap that these watches come on. I think it's a piece of crap. And I'll put these all side by side so you can see what I am saying. There is obviously some similarities between these two watches, the Mission to the Moon and the Moonwatch, but there aren't many similarities between these two. Colors wise, obviously, they look very, very different. It's just the case really that is similar between the two, the pushers and the crown. So very quickly, I'm going to do measurements on these watches side by side. So let's measure the case at the bezel. So we're going to measure the bezel. So I'm getting 39.5 at this bezel, on 39.7 at the bezel on the Speedmaster Professional, and then 39.7 on the 39.6, 39.7, yeah, basically the same on the MoonSwatch. I'm going to do it at the plastic crystal, 33 millimeters on the crystal, and then on the Moonwatch, I think it's bigger. It looks bigger to me. Yes, it is a millimeter bigger. So it's a little bit bigger. So it's a little bit tricky. So they've done a little bit different here. So it's not exactly the same. The lug to lug, I'm not going to include the lug to lug, the actual, only the actual lug to lug, excuse me, not the effective lug to lug, because you don't have a bracelet for the MoonSwatch. But let me get this straight. 47.3 is basically what I've gotten. So let's check that out on the MoonSwatch, and 47.3. Damn, very similar. Let's do the crown and the pushers while we're looking at it. So 6.4 and 4.8. Let's see what this is. So they're closer together on here. That's something to note right off the bat. So definitely difference there, but that's acceptable. 6.5 is what I'm measuring, and 5. So they are bigger. I knew there was a difference between them. Not as evident, but it definitely, there is a difference. There's a little sticker on the back of this watch. I haven't removed it, but just to give the measurement, 13.8 on the thickness, and then on the MoonSwatch, 13.2, 13.1. So there is a difference in the thickness. I think that has to do with the crystals and also the fact that this is a quartz movement, so they actually made it a little bit thinner. So there you go. Those are the measurements. I'm going to throw both of them on my wrist. So I'll throw the Moonwatch on my wrist first. And I have to say, this is beautiful. The bracelet on here, I have big hands, so the bracelet on here is beautiful. They really did a good job. Metas certified, anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss. So Obviously, quartz movement though. Advantages of that, you don't need to be anti-magnetic, so there you go. But look at that. Beautiful watch, man. This is a beautiful watch. You know, I've owned Speedmasters in the past. I do not own a Speedmaster Professional currently. I own a Mark II, but I do want to bring one of these back into my collection. However, I have another watch on my mind now since Exquisite Timepieces lent me a few watches, and one of the watches that they lent me is an SNR 051 from Seiko, and that thing is beautiful. It has a moon dial. It's the Sky LX, and it is gorgeous. But anyway, that's for a different video. Here is the MoonSwatch on my 7.5-inch wrist. They wear very similar. They don't feel similar on your wrist. This does feel like a Speedmaster. It looks like a Speedmaster, but it feels way light on your wrist. You almost don't know you have a watch on. And I said this in other videos, it kind of reminds me of the lightness that you get from a forged carbon fiber case. Sometimes one of those watches, I have a Carbotech, it sometimes feels a little bit cheap on your wrist. And that's because it is a very light material, and that's the point of this material. You can see, yeah, not a bad looking watch, man. I gotta tell you, it's not a bad looking watch because it looks a lot like the Speedmaster Professional. But obviously, I think that this is sort of a stepping stone. Obviously, if you're lusting after one of these, this is not gonna satisfy that itch. It's going to just make you want this watch even more, in my opinion. It's just a beautiful watch. It's really well made and a lot of history behind it. Cool that they came out with this sort of a toy version of this watch, and it's just, you know, fun. Anyway, very quickly, I'm going to do a Lume shot, and then we're going to wrap up this video. There they are side by side. Here is the mission to Saturn. I'll throw that in for the moon, for the Lume shot as well. I believe this has better Lume than this watch. Whatever reason, I don't know why, but let's do a Lume shot and then wrap up the video. Mission to the moon on the right side. In the middle, we have the Moonwatch, and then on the left side, we have the mission to Saturn. The mission to Saturn obviously has the worst Lume. I don't know why. It's different from any other MoonSwatch, excuse me. But there you go. It's not good at all. Fades very quickly. Maybe I got a faulty one. I don't know. The mission to the moon on the right side is a little bit brighter, a lot brighter actually than the other MoonSwatch. And then in the middle, the Moonwatch, the brightest out of the trio, looks really good. Very crisp Lume on here as well. That should be expected. The watch is $6,400, 25 times the price of the other two watches on this table. So obviously that makes a lot more sense that it is a lot more expensive, so it should be brighter. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I know these watches are very controversial, especially the mission to the moon, because it looks so similar to the Moonwatch, and it isn't, but a lot of people are saying that, you know, they're getting something like this instead of getting a Moonwatch, and I don't think that's realistic. I think that if you do get this watch and you expect that, you're going to be disappointed. However, it is sort of a stepping stone. It could be someone's entry level into getting into watches, which is a great thing. But if you think you're getting a Moonwatch, you're not. So that is the case. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.